Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trusted Tape. Welcome in. My name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
And I, of course, am joined by my friend and the finest drafter of all time, and the founder, CEO, owner, operator, president, general manager of Crown Global Media, which you need to follow on YouTube, the great and powerful Bryan Broaddus.
Hey, Bryan.
Hey, Bri.
Hello, Jeffrey.
How you doing today? It's good to see you.
Doing good. Yeah, doing good. Just got done watching a little Commanders and getting ready for Vach and I to do our show, and then got DallasCowboys.com and then 5 hours of radio. So we're doing good. We got it going today.
I don't know if that sounds like you're doing good.
What do you mean? Watching
like
the Commanders? No, I mean, you gotta, like I say, there's things you gotta be able to talk about. So, I like to have somewhat of a little bit of a working knowledge. Watched them against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're struggling. There's no question they're struggling. It'll be interesting to see with the quarterback play and how that works out for them. But yeah, it'd be another game. Dallas could try and win. Dallas could try and be 8-1. That's what they're going to try and do. You know what? To you and I, that's a bad thing. To them, it's like Jason Garrett made a career of being 8-8 and getting to the next year and trying to kind of figure things out. So I can see Schottenheimer doing the very same thing.
Yeah. I get it. No. You're trying to win. I'm pulling for them to lose, obviously, but
well, no, we all are. I mean, we all are that are drafters. We all are. The drafters are pulling for losses. The players, the coaches, it honestly means something. And listen, it's as crazy as it sounds. It does mean something to them not to have a losing record. It really, really does. It's a weird. I always remember being in the league and thinking when it was, a 16-game schedule and kind of feeling like, how could we get at least 9 wins? Because it was like, and then it was a winning season. And then you could kind of build on that. And, I'll give this to Shotty. At least it's not a 5-12 right out of the jump, or something like that.
It'd be nice, though.
Well, no, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Not for a lot of Cowboy fans. 5-12 wouldn't be nice. I mean, it would be nice. It'd be nice right now. Now listen. Okay, let's be honest here. You doing a year of talking on all the platforms you're on, being 5-12. Is that good for your business?
No, probably not. No, probably
okay,
not. No.
Yeah, maybe need to think. I like I say, I want them to win. But there comes a certain point in time as drafter guy that wants them to have the absolute best position of drafting. But knowing sitting in that chair like they do, it's being 8-1. You walk away like thinking, all right, some breaks didn't go our way. Let's rally and get back at it. That's what they're thinking right now. It's a very split to where how the fan base and the players and the coaches and the front offices right now.
I think we got to go lottery on this thing or something, because now when there's 2 games left and mathematically you're eliminated, I would like to stop trying. But I also think that part of this is probably like, look, Shotty, of course, wants to win as many games as he can because
he has to. He has to. Yeah. He's the thing, Jeff, real quick. I'm sorry. The thing that he's got to sell a message. He's got to sell a message. You go out there and flounder around, have a 3-4 game losing streak, and then all of a sudden at the end, and then the next year he's trying to kind of put together a plan for how he wants to handle the offseason. And those players kind of look at him like, dude, shut the hell up. You and your rah bullshit, and all this, that, and the other. I mean, no. But if you have a winning record or not a losing record, to me, it's a little bit easier to sell the message, and all you're looking for is the buy-in. You're looking for the player buy-in going into the offseason. And, being below 500 and having a losing record is what it is. You're a losing football team. And that's what teams try to avoid. So right now for him, the most important thing is to win these next 2. And then the messaging turns into like, you're right. We shake our head. You know why? Because you and I make a living on the college draft. Let's be honest. People follow us more, not for these weekly conversations that we have. They follow you because you're going to tell them about a wide receiver. I'm going to tell them about an offensive tackle. That's why people follow us. We do great in the off season. When they're losing football games, numbers.
Yeah, late season when season isn't going well is bad for viewership.
Nobody cares. Trust me, I've seen
final, it.
Yeah,
once it goes final,
I have watched this. I think there's two things going on with me right now. It's the numbers of how they are when.
Oh, you're pissed right now. You got some stuff going on.
Oh, I'm pissed right now because my Twitter account's hacked.
Oh,
and
no.
and what I'm pissed about is the fact that, and this is not saying it in a bragging way, and I appreciate everybody here. I have 130,000 followers, and I put my stuff out there every day for 130,000 followers. Right now at Crown Global Media, we're right at 3,000. There's a big difference between 130,000 seeing your message and 3,000 seeing your message. So yeah, and I think the fan base, when they beat Kansas City, we were here. When we lost to Minnesota, we were here.
Mm-hmm.
And the fan base, that's the way they are. People do not want to hear about their team being bad, and they just give up. But what happens is when we get to the end, when the final whistle blows at MetLife Stadium, then it immediately turns into how many times they have a loss, and it turns into, when's the draft show going to start? That's why people tune into you and I. I don't think they always tune in to hear us talk about, well, that offensive tackle looked great today. I think a lot of it has to do with draft coverage stuff. I really, really do.
Well, we got a couple of super chatters here, and that does suck, Brian. I hope you get your Twitter account back real fast because it also.
I can't. You know what? Elon Musk is supposedly is a great businessman. I'm not saying this in any respect to preference of how he with politics or anything like that. I'm just saying he has a company that he gutted. He gutted Twitter, and he gutted Twitter in a way that it can't help the people who are using it. He can't help somebody who on his platform, who is a premium subscriber to his content. He can't help somebody. I feel bad, not for me. I feel bad for the people that consume my daily stuff. If there's people that won't go on Crown Global Media to click on stuff, and I'm providing it for them, is that shortcut? Then they're losing out on that. And that's what bothers me. That's what bothers me.
I got 7 things on that. 1, make sure you're following Crown Global Media on Twitter.
Oh, you've already said that. No, I appreciate that.
Since Brian's locked out, number 1. And number 2, make sure that anything that was said about Elon Musk that got you in your feelings, you respond at Crown Global Media and leave me alone. Okay?
Hey, listen, I am not against Elon Musk. And you're a coward, by the way.
I can tell people
nobody likes confrontation. Nobody likes confrontation more than you. Nobody likes less confrontation than you.
Yeah, I like to keep it peaceful.
Yeah, peaceful bullshit. The thing about it is, though, like I said, this guy gutted Twitter, and now he doesn't have the support to help people who actually need help, who actually subscribe and pay bills for him. It's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster.
Isn't it wild what happens when you own a company, but you imagine because you own a company that qualifies you to run the company because you bought it, and then suddenly the company isn't run so well because it turns out that buying a job isn't necessarily the best plan. That, my friend, was about Jerry Jones. Alex,
anything said here about Jerry Jones, please don't include me in this.
Me for that one. Yeah. Look, when Jerry goes spending his butt off in free agency, I'm saying it was because of me. I'm saying it was because Jeff was on his neck.
I think honestly the fan base is on his neck.
Yeah.
I think it's fan base. We've said all along what probably needs to be done here. And I think the fan base, people want to say, well, don't buy merch, don't go to the games. Folks, he still makes TV money. He makes hundreds of millions of dollars off TV money. You cannot show up at the stadium. It won't affect him one bit. It really won't, because he will have TV money to still operate on. That's where they make their money.
Well,
so
Brian,
to me, But yeah, I think Jerry Jones is old, and I think he knows that the end is near. And I think that you're in a situation where the fan base is like, listen, dude, enough. Enough, man. Enough. Now, he could sit there once again and drag us all into believing that he's honestly going to spend money and then bottom fish, tag Pickens, do nothing else, use 2 draft picks. But if that's the case, his off season and going into training camp ain't going to be pretty because people are not going to buy. And I think there's people right now that are absolutely questioning whether he will will spend money and make moves.
Yep. Yeah, and I hope he does. I think that they need to if they want to have a shot at this thing. It is wild where we find ourselves on this particular football team where you can be so incredibly loaded at a couple of spots and pretty much empty everywhere else. Like you trade for George Pickens, and now you might have the best receiver duo in the league as long as you keep him around. You traded for multiple defensive tackles, and so now we can parlay this into a draft question. And so now, like, that position's probably just off the table because you have.
Oh, I'm not drafting defensive tackle.
Right.
You tell me I could use an edge, a linebacker, a corner, a safety.
Yep.
Count me in on all those. I'm not drafting defensive tackle in this draft.
Robin Wolf Gaming's in the super chat. He said, please don't draft any injured players, no ACL tears. And I just want to get this on record. If you can get the Tennessee corner McCoy, who absolutely has not played football this year, coming off of a torn ACL, if he goes and he shows teams that he's healthy before the draft and that's their second first-round pick, I'll be happy. And maybe you
might need to make him your first-round pick.
Right. That is possible.
The guy could very well be the best corner in the draft. I know I have him on my board that way.
Let me double check. I do. Ooh, I actually do not. I probably should. It's close. I like the guy who's played football. It's him and Delane. It's him and Mansour Delane.
I've watched Delane play. He's came from Virginia Tech. He's as good a cornerback as you will see in the country. I mean, and he's not going to play in the game against Houston this weekend. So you'll see, he's now going off to get ready for the draft. But when you watch him play, and I watched every single game that LSU played, he is one of our best players. And I know it was a 7-win team, but when you watched him week in, week out, when it came down to having to go make plays, this guy Mo Claiborne wishes he was this guy.
Yeah. What's fun to me about watching draft players is so I'm going to talk specifically about the Tennessee kid, Jermod McCoy, who should be a first-round pick. Hasn't played this year because he had a torn ACL. He's like 9 months.
January, yeah.
Okay, dang, almost 12. And hasn't played. That's a long time to not play. But I didn't do when I watched him. He might have been the first player I watched. I didn't follow my rule. My rule is I want to find the best competition I can to watch these guys. But with him, I just worked my way through his sophomore season, and I watched a few games, and all of my notes were, holy crap, this dude's awesome. This dude's incredible. Sticky in coverage, physical, can play a ball in the air, all these things. And then the last game I watched was the playoff game against Ohio State. And I just want to tell people what makes it harder is when the other team then runs out a player that the best players in the country don't have a chance against. The special players are wild to watch on tape because Jeremiah Smith, the Ohio State wide receiver who won't be eligible until next year, I'm watching maybe the best corner in the country, and I'm like, oh, you can't cover him though because no one can. And those are the fun ones when you have to wait years and years, but you just know whenever he's eligible. I would use both Cowboys first-round picks right now to wait a year to get Jeremiah Smith. Just going to throw that out there. And I would love if the draft worked that way. Like, oh, you're willing to wait? Sure.
Yeah.
Earn your picks right now. Yeah. Dro Knows is in the super chat. He said, am I wrong? I see some Trent Williams nastiness and confidence in Caden Proctor. Could easy move to off-ball backer, and we double dip at edge. A double question from Dro Knows there in the super chat. What do you think about this offensive tackle class, the guys at the top? Like, I don't have a guy that some years where it's like, oh yeah, that dude, like top
Yeah.
5 pick. I don't think I see any of those, but I see a lot of guys that I think can help you.
Yeah, you know me, I'm always going to have a problem with guys that are 308 or 306.
What about
Is what I'm at.
360?
The 360 guy to me is pretty entertaining in a way because
That's Proctor at Alabama.
yeah, he's 6'7", actually 366 is what I got him at. And
370.
I mean, yeah, this guy, I mean, you talk about a point of attack player, the strength, the things that you really, really like about Tyler Booker, you should like about Caden Proctor. I mean, as far as size, power, ability to finish blocks, nasty demeanor, the type of guy. I mean, he punishes defenders when you watch him play. The lateral quickness, the snaps where the defenders sometimes get a little bit of the best of him around the edge. But man, I'll tell you what, overall for a guy that big, he is a hard guy to deal with. And you know, but you have to worry about these guys because we've seen guys like you know, the emeritus Mims, we've seen Donovan Smith, we've seen these massive tackles that, you know, Mekhi Becton, outside, then playing inside. You know, this guy's got a ton of just ability for a guy his size. But, you know, I just you kind of wonder, but on the flip side of this, the guy that might be the most when you look at size, athletic ability is our guy at Miami. Might be the one that is the
I heard announcers say his name, by the way, so I'm going to say this with somewhat confidence.
Go ahead.
Maui Noah.
Maui Noah.
Even though it's spelled Maui and then a
Goa.
G.
Yeah. Maui Noah.
I heard the announcer saying Maui Noah.
Maui Noah. It's the G is like an N is what it is.
I believe you.
So Maui Noah. Maui Noah is I mean, this guy's he started as a true freshman at Miami. And I mean, he's got all the physical tools.
And he's not 3'4", he's a tank.
He's 315 is what they've got him listed. But man, he doesn't get knocked back. He's not off balance. He's got knee bend. He's got anchor strength. He can maintain position throughout the block. He's a really good drive blocker. The Canes will run the ball behind him. I mean, and they have success. I mean, he does a great job of displacing defensive linemen. You know, as a pass blocker, I always talk about the mirror, the counter moves. I mean, he's another guy with a nasty streak to finish blocks. I don't think there's really any real weakness with this guy, but there's sometimes where you will see him get a little too far up over his feet, but he doesn't end up on the ground. But the footwork, the feet, I mean, I think he's got the ability. He plays right tackle at Miami. I think he's got the ability to play. I think he's got the ability to play left tackle in the league. I really do.
Let me knock out these super chats, and then I do want to talk about the Cowboys left tackle. Draft C.J. Allen, Matoyo Ugg, and Kamari Ramsey. See, people are always ahead of me. People are always ahead of me.
Yeah, well, they're talking about.
I know C.J. Allen. That's a Georgia linebacker. He might be
they're talking
with
about
your second pick.
They're talking about our guy Olungale, the guy from Oregon is who they're talking about. This is the brother of. He's like an edge rusher for the Oregon Ducks. Uyunglele. Yeah, that's his brother is who we're talking about. I think he just did not want to spell out the name and he just abbreviated. But this guy, yeah, he's like a stand-up edge. He's 6'5", he's 272. And you got the length, you got the size, you got the athletic ability. I think he's got a decent first step, but you always don't see him use it. There's snaps where he found himself tied up, struggled to disengage. He'll take blockers on with his hands. There's some pop to his game. There's some strength to hold off. He can hold up in the running game, set the edge. I think he does a really good job when the balls run to his side. There's some discipline in the game to fit in the run. You saw it was Indiana, Penn State, Northwestern, these teams that run, you know, the options, the read option stuff. You kind of see him hang in place and then disengage. You know, there's the numbers of how he played in 2024 are better than how he's played in 2025. He looks pretty average as a pass rusher, and I didn't think there was anything really special about it or dynamic. I'd like to see more pass rush moves, more of a burst from this guy. He just didn't look as quick when he played Northwestern. But there's people that absolutely think this guy is a first-round talent. I don't think that necessarily the case. And like I said, there's people who will tell me the 2024 film is better than the 2025 film.
Well, there's a lot of that going on in this draft. And hey, I want to shout out in the middle of this show our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Did you know that playing Underdog is easy? You just pick whether your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. That's all you got to do. You get those picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. I like to do some hating on the Eagles most weeks. I like to go Jalen Hurts less than pretty much every week. I like to go Dak Prescott more than. And I think saying this has probably gotten me in trouble because we get a lot of Eagle fans in the chat now on DLLS because I just like to talk about them even though they're going to win the division and they might win the Super Bowl. But there's
not if they win the division. They've won the division. Yeah, they won the division.
Yeah. And they might win the Super Bowl. But I'll just keep hating on their quarterback when I play Underdog, and that's the way that I like to do it, okay? And nobody can stop me. Download the app today. Use the promo code TAPE, TAPE. And that's going to get you $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. The promo code TAPE, TAPE. Use that. Get your hookup, $75 in bonus entries when you play the first $5. Underdog, make picks, win money. So there you go. Knocked that out for you. You mentioned offensive tackle. Dang it, we have super chats to get to, and I will. But you mentioned offensive tackle. How are you with the Tyler Smith playing left tackle right now? And Shoddy saying that even when Guyton's healthy, this is Cowboys progress to me. Even when healthy, maybe he gets a look on the right. Maybe he's the swing tackle. I know he was a first-round pick and you're in year 2, but they're not just blindly standing behind him, and they're talking about what's best for their team. Where are you with Tyler Smith, the tackle?
I tell you what, I think you're taking an all-pro guard and maybe making him just a Pro Bowl tackle.
If he's a Pro Bowl tackle, I might be happy. I don't know if he's a Pro Bowl tackle.
I think the other day he played like a guard as a tackle. Yeah. I think that, Vach Lombardi, I think, is really good at these offensive line guys as well. He and I were having this discussion about when you play inside, it's about quicker hands. It's about a quicker set. It's about engaging quicker. You can, Andrew Whitworth, one of the premier tackles to ever play this game, was talking about the difference between going from left side to right side, going from guard to tackle, how difficult it is, how quick you have to engage, how patient you have to engage. I'm not saying that Tyler Smith can't do it because we've seen him do it for a year, but I think he's one of the best guards in the league. I think him and Booker together, you talk about having two of the best receivers in the league. I think you got two of the best guards in the league. I think Booker might be the best offensive lineman you have. And I say that in a way of because the way that he has played, the way every week it seems like he's gotten a little bit better, a little bit more understanding of how to pass stunts, how to take guys on, how to sit down on guys, when to help, when not to help, when to get to second level, when to block, when to pull. All these things about him is super positive. And I love Booker for that reason. There's a lot of people, again, Vach Lombardi was absolutely right about him in the draft. And so, to me, that's kind of where I look at with Tyler Smith. And I worked for Jerry Jones for a lot of years where he preached about, and I don't know where he got this from. He might have got it from Parcells or somebody, Jimmy Johnson, but he always believed in the middle of the pocket. And that's why you always saw them drafting guys, a Frederick, a Martin, what Ron Leary was able to do. It was the guard play was really important. Look, go back and the Larry Allens and those guys that they've had over the history here, the guards that they've had play, and how important that is. So moving him to the outside, I don't necessarily like the idea, but I understand the idea if somebody would come out and tell me that they don't trust the health of Tyler Guyton. If somebody comes out and says, listen, we're doing this because we don't think Tyler Guyton can stay healthy for 16, 17 games. We just don't do it. So right now we're getting ahead of it. It might be a situation where you move move Smith to tackle, you move BB to guard, and then you go find a center. Some way, somehow, you either draft a center, find a center, do that kind of thing. I've seen one center. I think his name's Lou from Northwestern is who I watched, and I wasn't overly impressed with him when it came to centers. That was something that Yeah, excuse me, it's Auburn. Connor Lew. I thought he was Northwest. It was Connor Lew from Auburn that I saw. Not really impressed with him, but there might be some talk uh, about moving if you were to kick Smith outside, then kick Beebe to guard, and then go grab a center. That might be a way to kind of fix things. Me personally, I would go ahead if you're going to replace anybody at tackle. I would go ahead and start taking a look at guys on the right side and just go ahead and Steele. But as long as Dak Prescott's playing, I don't think they do any of these things that I want them to do.
Yeah, I think it's very revealing of how many needs they have and the disappointment that you haven't been able to find a left tackle, that you may reach the desperation point of moving an all-pro to a spot where, look, if he could be a Pro Bowl left tackle, I'd be fine with that.
Sure.
I think, and Duke Manyweather, who works with him on Twitter, pointed out something we talked about whatever year it was when he was actually playing a little bit of tackle. You take away the things that make him best when you move.
No question. Duke's right about that. Andrew Witt was right about that. I trust guys. I trust guys that live and die this every single day. Yeah. You know, I trust what they're telling me. You know, the whole thing. You know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, again, another point that Vach made that I thought was really, really good was you've drafted some of these guys with the expectation. If you've drafted a say a Guyton, you know, late in the draft, when you've drafted early in the draft, when you've drafted a Martin, when you've drafted Booker, you know, when you've drafted these guys, Tyron Smith, yeah, when you've drafted early in the draft, you seem to have more success with those plug and play type guys. When you draft later in the draft, you're drafting maybe a second round talent, not as good, not as ready. And the thing that scares me about Guyton, and I think Guyton's done remarkably well from this year or from last year to this year. I'm scared to death he's not healthy enough. That's the thing. I can't. If they're moving Smith because they do not trust the health, just tell me, and I'll buy it. I'll buy it. If you're telling me we don't trust Tyler Guyton's health and we can't do this, we can't go forward like this every week. So,
well, I'm begging the Cowboys to find a left tackle so that my All-Pro can still be an All-Pro, whether that's free agency.
I agree. I'd love Tyler Smith to stay at left guard. I really, really would. But, you know, like I said, if they're going to do this, they would probably have to do it. You know, they probably have to do it at 13, 14, wherever they're going to pick.
J-Dogs in the Super Chat, who's the best safety in the draft? I'm over the day late, dollar short, always out of position. Wilson and Hooker experiment. This will be the fun part. Caleb Downs, for me, is going to be one of the best 5 players in this draft, I believe. Yeah. It's just a matter of, are you going to pick a safety that high? And does the fact that he plays safety mean he makes it to your pick, wherever that is, 13, 14,
yeah, I think,
15,
I think there's some teams ahead of you that are more willing to probably pull the trigger on that than you are. That would be my guess. So as we get into this, I have a feeling we're going to find that team.
Andrew said, "Have you watched Colton Hood?" No, but
yeah,
name.
Colton Hood's a really good player. When you start to talk about the top corners in the draft, of the first round corners, Colton Hood's probably on the cusp of maybe a late 1, early 2. He's a transfer from Auburn. He went to Auburn, Colorado, and now Tennessee. You'll see him play both sides of the field. He tends to line up in the boundary on a lot of snaps, so he's to the short side of field. When you watch him play, he's really loose. He's very free. Not that he's not locked in, but there's kind of a free element to his game, and people don't kill me on this. He's got, when you watch Diggs play, that looseness that he plays with, that you're kind of not sure, is he in, is he out, you know, with the way he's playing. This guy's got it. He plays the same way. 6 foot, he's 190. He's got speed, he's got instincts, but there's snaps, man, when you see him flying across the field. I love the length for the position. I like him more as a press man guy. Maybe your next coordinator will figure out a way to play with some of these guys that are press man corners, but this is really what he's good at. He stays in phase. You could see him carry routes. He's not going to let you beat him off the line. He'll compete for the ball. He is not the best tackler, and he could get a little sloppy when he plays in space. And that's what I was kind of talking about, his looseness to him. He gets a little handsy. He gets a little grabby in coverage. I love the size of the player and the tools. The quick footiness allows him to kind of decelerate, mirror receivers, top of the route, trigger, adjust to quarterback size. This guy's a really good football player. But like I say, you got to know that there's a little bit of that. He looks a little like free in the way he's playing. Maybe you're like, oh, is he playing the scheme, or is he just being a ball player? But Colton Hood's a good football player.
Josh is in the super chat. Let me try to rip through these. Are we watching defensive coordinators? And then he lists out a bunch of names. Bryan, do you have a favorite in the defensive coordinator world?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I think if Todd Bowles were to get fired, I think I would look at Todd Bowles. I need to see what's happening with the Cleveland Browns. With Jim Schwartz would be one that I would surely consider. People have talked about Matt Patricia. If you go the college route with Ohio State, could be a possibility there. I know people are really kind of falling in love with Jim Leonard, who's at the Denver Broncos. He was a coach he was with the Ravens. He was with Wisconsin. He was an interim head coach. He's a guy that was a former player. I think you need somebody that gets along with the players. I think you need somebody that coaches them hard. Brian Flores would be somebody that I think, after watching him and studying his tape and how he's able to take his players, you talk about buy-in, you talk about ability to make things happen with the guys he has and the way how connected they play. You watch Dallas play defense right now, they're not connected at all. They're not connected in the way they play. Look what happened with Diggs and the wheel route and all that stuff. They're not a connected defense. You need somebody that's going to come in here and connect all these guys.
Eddie is in the super chat. Thoughts on Akeem Messidor, Miami D end? Kuiper says round 1. Simulators say day 3. I say round 1 talent, but round 2 rank due to age, 25 on draft day. He's the guy who plays opposite Ruben Bain at Miami. And yeah, it's interesting. What do you do with the guys who are 4 or 5 years older than everybody else in the draft class? But I think if they can help your football team, you pick them where you pick them.
Yeah, we did this with the Terrence Newman. I know that Bill Parcells was absolutely adamant, like, why are we drafting an older guy? And Larry Lacewell told him, because we don't have a damn corner on this field that can play right now. And that's why you draft him. And then what does T. New do? He goes out and plays like 30 years after being 25. So, yeah, you just got to be very mindful. And there's going to be older players because we're getting to the end of the pandemic thing. We're getting the extra COVID year, guys staying in, guys transferring, guys get another year. You're going to see a lot of older players in the draft coming up here very, very soon.
Let me see here. JT Vach had a breakdown of Perry on Winfrey. I couldn't even focus on him because all I could see was Murray just lost every play. He's buns. Need linebacker in round 1. I'm done kicking Murray. I think we've got it figured out and the season's almost over. We're not going to worry about that anymore, but I bet Sonny Styles is going to be the most commonly mocked player to Dallas.
Well, it's going to be very much like what happened with our running back from Boise State. He was, remember how early he was, and then people are going to figure out that Styles is probably a better player than the players that we're talking about right now. And so all of a sudden, Styles is going to go up the board. People are going to see the size. They're going to see the athletic ability. They're going to see the smarts. They're going to see the ability to cover. They're going to see all these things about him as a player. And, Ashton Genty, Cowboys. And then it was Ted McMillan, Cowboys. And then you end up with Booker. And that's probably what's going to happen. There's going to be some linebackers that are probably, everybody's going to talk about some other guys. And then at the end of the day, the teams are going to draft the best players, and Styles is one of the best ones.
Carries in the super chat said, what are the chances we get Sean Lee on the defensive staff? I have no idea, but we might just need to get him on the field. Is Sean still in shape? Can we get him on the field? No?
Sean's bicycling, I think, and him and his wife are bicycling somewhere out in California, eating fish tacos. I think the guy's got a pretty good life. He ain't worried about coaching football right now.
And Josh is in the super chat. If I guaranteed that at pick 13, you could pick an all-pro tackle, what defensive player would you draft over that? I'll tell you right now, the answer to that is none. If you promise me an all-pro tackle, sorry, we'll figure out defense with the rest of our resources.
Yeah, I mean, you might be in a situation too. What if it was one of those edges that you like, Jeff?
All-pro. If I get an all-pro offensive tackle, get them edges out of here. We're going to have to figure it out.
What if it's an all-pro edge?
Okay, now we're cooking. Now
that's the way the question should be. If you could give me an all-pro tackle or say a Pro Bowl defensive player,
I'd probably take the all-pro tackle, but Pro Bowl would be nice too. Look, I'll take a hit at this point. I just want hits on this team drafting. Go pay Devin Lloyd to play football for you. Okay. Devin Lloyd's still
No,
around.
yeah, Devin Lloyd's going to be a free agent. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of these guys we're going to talk about in the coming weeks for sure.
All right, stop sending super chats. Okay, we got them all done. Thank you, Bryan. We hope you get the Twitter account back. But when you want to hear from Bryan, what you need to do is follow Crown Global Media on Twitter, and then you'll get access to it. A couple people in here, one said you helped him get rich on Bitcoin, and one said they lost all their money on crypto because of you. So don't pay attention to his hacked account that he doesn't have access to. Follow at Crown Global Media on on the Twitter.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bryan, and we'll catch everybody on Friday. So happy holidays.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate that. Take care.
All right, remember, guys, it's the hot dog and the bun. Remember, you have no idea what anyone's going through. Be cool to everybody. We love you.